win today. That's what we're focusing on. We're going to enjoy this win.
He wasn't real talkative in the press conference last night, did not want to talk about any of the trade situation. Doug Marrone said today in his press conference it's his job to coach the players who are there, reminding us he has no control over the roster. In the studio, Dan Hicken, Action Sports Jax.
All right, Dan, a lot to talk about. Action News Jax is a live interactive poll right now asking if you think the Jags should trade Jalen Ramsey. Right now, 74% of you say no, do not trade him. You can cast your vote. Go to actionnewsjax.com/vote.
The Jags win was not only big for the fans, but for one local nonprofit as well. So early this month, Calais Campbell, he pledged a donation for every win, sack, tackle, and turnover he forced. Well, I mean, you saw it, right? Last night, he lived up to his title of the mayor of Jacksonville. We were so proud of him. Campbell had 3 sacks and 2 tackles for totaling $20,000, you guys, for feeding Northeast Florida. Fantastic.
The best part of him is that he puts his money where his mouth is. I love it. New at 5, Walmart says it will stop selling e-cigarettes at its stores. It comes following a string of sicknesses and deaths related to vaping. They will no longer be sold after the current inventory is sold out. Coming up next at 5:30, the latest research into what's causing the illnesses nationwide. A jury has been seated in the high-profile federal case involving 2 former city council members. Katrina and Reggie Brown are accused of fraud and money laundering involving taxpayer-funded financial incentives. Combined, they face 38 federal counts. You can count on Action News Jax to be inside the courtroom on Monday when the trial begins. We will have live coverage starting at noon on CBS 47.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacey Garvilla in for Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish this evening. We've had persistent onshore flow, still tracking a few of those isolated showers out there. Will this pattern last into the weekend? We'll have that and a look at the tropics in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
Coming up, 2 stories you still haven't seen on Action News Jax. First, this year's flu season may be worse than usual. Just ask Australia. What's happening in the southern hemisphere and why doctors say it may mean big problems for us here. Then, the notable items you can snag from inside the landing before the bulldozers roll in. More local stories straight ahead. Next on Action News Jax.
A live look now at the Jacksonville Landing, which is set for demolition later this year. Within the last hour, Action News Jax learned the project is expected to be finished in May or June of next year. Right now, teams are taking items left behind by local businesses and selling them. As Action News Jax Brittany Donovan shows us, you can buy some memories from the landing right now.
Right now, it's quiet here at the landing. This gate blocking anyone from getting inside, and you can see it's empty. But one business has been able to get inside. They're salvaging items from the landing, giving families an opportunity to take home a piece of history.
You might recognize this bar top and the detailed beach scene painted on it. It was pulled from Hooters inside the landing. Annie Murphy and her team at Eco Relics are working to salvage items from inside the iconic landmark before it's torn down.
We're all about keeping stuff out of landfills. That's our mission.
So far, they've taken in lights from several of the restaurants. This door has been sold, along with some artwork from Chicago Pizza. These glass windows have been a customer favorite. They're still for sale at the shop on Stockton Street.
It is really cool to see people recognizing certain things, longtime Jacksonville residents.
Murphy says they've only been able to get inside the buildings along the river. They can't access the rest of the building until the last tenant moves out in October. She tells me they expect to salvage 160 items. So if you're in the market for lighting or a bar top,
people have been looking at it, and we're not going to cut it, so they have to be able to use the whole thing. You have to have a big man cave to put it in.
The pieces of Jacksonville history will be for sale as they're salvaged.
Murphy tells me she expects work to go on here at the landing throughout the fall, and they think they might be done by the end of the year. Reporting in downtown Jacksonville, Brittany Donovan, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
The Department of Health in Nassau County is lifting a rabies alert. Action News Jax told you in July when an otter tested positive for the disease in the northwest part of the county. There has not been another positive test for rabies in 60 days, allowing the advisory to be lifted. But the health department warns there is a risk year-round.
Right now, climate strikes are wrapping up all over the East Coast, including here in Jacksonville. 3 days before a major climate summit, protesters are demanding action against climate change. Here you can see the local strike at Hemming Park. It began at 10 a.m.
It is a day to make politicians and others aware of the impacts that we as humans are having on Mother Earth.
Many of those in the crowd are children who skip school to participate as part of the Fridays for Future movement. The movement involves students missing school on Fridays to protest, quote, lack of action on the climate crisis. The climate summit will be held in New York City on Monday.
Tomorrow is International Coastal Cleanup Day, and the group Ocean Conservancy will hold cleanups globally, including in Northeast Florida. The day will be focused on cleanup at beaches and oceans in the area. If you'd like to volunteer, go to actionnewsjax.com to find an event near you. And it's been more than a month since firefighters Brian McClooney and Justin Walker were lost at sea. Loved ones are still looking for any sign to help figure out what happened to them. A local search group asked anyone doing beach cleanup this weekend to be on the lookout for items of theirs that could have washed ashore. A list of those items can be found on actionnewsjax.com.
Covering St. Johns County, where deputies will collect donations for hurricane victims just next week. You can donate cleaning supplies and canned foods and personal hygiene items. You can start dropping items off at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office starting on Monday.
Now certified Jacksonville's most accurate weather forecast. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacey Garvilla in this evening for Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. We've had that persistent onshore flow, so still a couple of those isolated showers we're finding now on 5-Sweep First Alert Doppler HD, especially across southeast Georgia. There's been a heavy downpour that's just crossed through Jekyll Island and in the vicinity of Brunswick. These are headed towards I-95, and even some of these showers have made it as far west as west of Highway 301, west of the Folkston area there in Charlton County, and a couple of showers still offshore of St. Augustine, but a couple of sprinkles are possible as these are tracking inland. As far as what we can expect tonight, still a couple of isolated showers. Our onshore flow will continue well into Saturday. It will still be another breezy day tomorrow. We'll have isolated, mainly coastal showers, but some of these may try to move their way inland. They will be very spotty in nature, very brief, and even into Sunday, I think it's possible that one or two areas see a quick shower, but overall drying out as we head into Sunday. Hour by hour tomorrow, we keep around the cooler temps. We'll actually still see the low to mid 80s as we head into the noon hour, topping out in the mid and upper 80s tomorrow. And again, a lot of areas dry, but we'll have just a couple of those isolated showers. One thing we will still be dealing with this weekend is rough seas and surf, too. A live look now in Jax Beach on our First Alert Skycam network. You can still see that we've been dealing with that onshore flow that has kept things pretty choppy out there. It's 82 with an east wind at 14 miles per hour. We will continue to see a high rip current risk again tomorrow and even into Sunday, so be mindful of that if you will be spending any time at the beaches. The breakers anywhere from 5 to 7 feet, and in the boating forecast, the sea is staying around 6 to 8 feet or greater. Now the winds will be out of the east at about 15 to 20 knots, and we are approaching that next low tide around 7:30 this evening. A quick look at the tropics. There is a lot going on out there, although nothing threatening the immediate southeast Georgia, northeast Florida coastline. Here's the remnants of post-tropical Umberto, and we've got Jerri, which is a hurricane. We'll talk more about that in 1 second. That is north now of the Leeward Islands. There is an area of disturbed weather that's bringing some showers and storms to Haiti and the Dominican Republic, plus a tropical wave here, which has a small chance of developing into something tropical. This will be one to watch as it continues to move towards the Windward Islands there. And then a tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa, which does have development likely into early next week. This could become our next named storm. Hurricane Jerri, of course, with maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour. Tropical storm watches in place there for the northern Leeward Islands, but it will be staying north of that. Into the weekend, more of a north turn and then eventually northeast turn, which could impact Bermuda once again by the middle of next week. Now in the First Alert 7-day forecast, we have a pretty pleasant weekend ahead. Highs in the mid 80s, just a couple of isolated showers. We'll continue to find temps in the mid and upper 80s through next week. Lots of dry skies though. Pretty dry pattern setting up for us through much of next week. You can always catch the latest forecast online. Head to actionnewsjax.com and download for free the First Alert weather app.
New on Action News Jax at 5:30. Flu season right around the corner. Why experts say we could be in for a particularly bad season.
Plus, a worldwide study shows major misconceptions about dementia. Next at 5, what researchers believe you can do to help lower your risk of disease.
New coming up at 5:30. Electric cars saving you money at the pump, but are they saving your life in a crash? The models that did the best protecting drivers and passengers. Coming up on CBS 47 Action News Jax. Local coverage you can count on.
A new worldwide dementia study reveals some surprising misconceptions about the disease. As Action News Jack's Amato shows us, researchers hope their findings will lead to better treatment.
Researchers from Alzheimer's Disease International carried out the study. They surveyed 70,000 people across 155 countries. They found 2 out of 3 think dementia is a normal part of aging rather than a medical condition. And 62% of healthcare workers also believe it's a natural outcome of growing old. Chris Maddox was diagnosed with early onset dementia 3 years ago after several strokes.
One day I got up, I couldn't remember how to get dressed. And another time I was showering and I turned the shower off halfway through. They just dismissed me as though I was just making these things up.
Experts say shame about the disease stops many people from reaching out for help that could improve their lives. While there's no cure for dementia, health experts say staying healthy, learning new hobbies, and solving crossword puzzles may help to stave off the disease. Phil Amato, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
New at 5:30, experts say the flu season in other parts of the world could help predict the coming flu season here in the U.S., why this year's bug may be more difficult to avoid. Plus, learning how to ride, the program helping students and teachers ride bikes. And local parents using their personal story to help change lives.
We're looking for safer, smarter, and more effective treatments for childhood cancer.
We're 1 month from beginning of the flu season, and health experts say we could be in for a bad season. That's because Australia's flu season, which is similar to here in the U.S., is still going strong 1 month after its peak.
Action News Jack's Incline explains how the season overseas may predict the coming flu season here.
Patients here at St. Vincent's in Mandarin have already been asking their doctors about the flu shot. This year's vaccine has already been updated based on what's expected to be circulating in the U.S. Ray Montalvo and her kids never skip their flu shots, but her husband, not so much.
He also believes that by him not getting it, he's not getting sick, but I think it's just that we're not bringing it home.
And that's exactly right, according to medical professionals who say getting the flu shot does not just protect you, but also the people around you. According to the state health department, flu activity has increased in Florida over the last 2 weeks, but remained low overall. The state also reported 6 new respiratory disease outbreaks. Dr. Alan Todd of Ascension St. Vincent's says officials look toward the southern hemisphere to try to predict what our flu season might be like.
A lot of what happens in the southern hemisphere is based on what the virus is, but also based on whatever that community is like as far as are they immunocompromised.
According to the American Council on Science and Health, Australia had a bad flu season because of a predominant strain known as H3N2. The organization says, based on the data from Australia, it's reasonable to expect we may be in store for a potentially bad season as well.
Then it makes me think about boosting my own immune system and taking care of my body and washing, hand washing and that kind of stuff.
So bottom line from the medical professionals we've spoken to, should you get the flu shot? Yes. Does it give you the flu? No. Reporting from Mandarin, Lorena Inclan, CBS47 Action News Jax.
Over the past 100 years, millions of people have been killed by the flu. The Spanish flu of 1918 lasted from September of that year until next April. Now, experts suggest 20 to 40% of the world's population got sick. More than 50 million died. The Asian flu of 1958, that killed 70,000 of those were in the U.S. and as many as 2 million people across the world. And in 1968, the Hong Kong flu, that killed as many as 1 million people.
Researchers want to know what caused more than 500 vaping-related illnesses. So far, 8 people have died. A viral pro-vaping video shows less visible damage from e-cigs than cigarettes. And experts in England say they're 95% less harmful than traditional cigarettes. But not all medical experts agree on that.
I would say it's 95% harmful because in any single study that I've seen that's looking at this in a meaningful way outside the lung, they're finding damage and harm.
CDC says to avoid vaping if you're worried about the risks, but they advise people using them to quit traditional cigarettes, not to go back to tobacco. Action News Jax told you in June that Nassau County ranked 7th in the state for the number of middle and high school students who vape. In April, a 20-year-old was arrested for illegal vaping products. Deputies say he was caught with 126 vape pen cartridges containing THC.
The state of Florida is hiring part-time workers to help handle the hepatitis A emergency. $3 million from county health departments hired workers throughout the state. The disease is mostly spread throughout central portions of the state. There are 2,500 known cases, which is 5 times more than last year. According to the latest numbers from the Department of Health, there are 4 cases in Clay County, 16 in Duval, 4 in Nassau, 7 in St. Johns County. The county with the highest number of cases is Pasco with 391.
Right now, airlines across the country are coming up with plans to protect their employees from passenger attacks. Action News Jax Beth Rousseau breaks down what employees say are sparking the attacks.
Here at Jacksonville International Airport, if we take a look up here at the board, you can see some flights are on time, others are a little bit delayed, but airline employees say that it's when those flights start getting canceled that passengers start getting aggressive. Camille Angus is a first-time flyer.
It is stressful when you have to park and you don't want to exceed the weight limit of the cases that you are taking with you.
Angus says keeping track of flight times, lines, and security is overwhelming.
Sometimes we take not just the baggage that we pull along to check on, we have our emotional baggages traveling with us.
Travelers are taking their frustrations out on airline employees, according to a new report from the Government Accountability Office. Videos like this one of a riot almost breaking out at the Fort Lauderdale airport over canceled flights are what sparked the investigation.
Sometimes maybe they don't necessarily offend us, but we have all this pent-up anger. We just spill it out and anybody comes along.
Investigators surveyed more than 100 customer service agents. Almost all of them said passengers verbally harassed them. Half of the airline employees had been threatened, and 12 claimed they were physically assaulted. Now airlines are required to come up with plans to protect their employees.
If I were in that situation, I would like to know that there are measures in place to protect me because I am human.
Angus tells me when she feels frustrated, she remembers one thing.
It's nice to be nice.
Lines are short here at JIA, but airline agents say long lines, baggage fees, and alcohol also contribute to these incidents. Reporting at JIA, Beth Russo, Action News Jax.
The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is warning businesses to take a closer look at their money because a counterfeit bill was recently used. So you can see this, the front of the bill, it looks real, right? But when the bill was turned over, you'll notice those pink symbols. I mean, right there, you can't miss it, right? And the building on the back is not Independence Hall. What building they got back there? It's not Independence Hall. If you get a fake bill like this, call the Sheriff's Office.
There's a new push tonight to get a National Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Memorial Museum in Jacksonville. Representatives Al Lawson and John Rutherford introduced legislation for the museum today. The bill would make the Cecil Field Museum National Memorial for all former prisoners of war and those still missing in action. According to the Department of Defense, 82,000 service members are still unaccounted for.
A gas station is popping up in St. Johns County neighborhood that's only zoned for houses. Action News Jax investigates how the builders are able to get away with it despite major pushback from neighbors.
Billions of birds gone without a trace, what researchers blame for a massive population loss. And local students are learning how to ride on two wheels, why they were given new bikes for free.
Well, some kindergartners in Middleburg are getting a head start on learning how to ride a bike. How cute is this? Check out these students from Rideout Elementary School hopping on their brand new bikes. As Action News Jax Alicia Terracon explains, the gifts are part of a larger effort to keep kids active during the school year.
Dozens of kindergartners at Rideout Elementary School received a big surprise hidden behind this dark gray van on Friday morning. Brand new Strider bikes and helmets that will help all these kids learn how to ride a bike by the end of the school year.
so we wanted to make sure we could embed that into our curriculum to work with them with coach, so they're building their confidence, but they're also learning how to do this so they can transfer these skills home with them.
The school now has 22 of these Strider bikes. You'll notice they don't have training wheels on them. That's so the students learn how to balance once they get on these bikes.
It's a skill that 5-year-old Jackson can't wait to learn.
So I can have a lot more fun than just playing with Legos and drawing all day. That's the only stuff I have.
This Clay County school was the only one in the district to receive a $4,000 grant from Tucker Power Sports as part of the All Kids Bike program. As part of the program, teachers will be able to get certified over an 8-week course to teach these kids how to ride these bikes. And they'll start with the basics.
You have to about this bouncing.
Teachers tell me these bikes will help their students stay active and healthy, and for some kids, it was their first time getting on a bike.
A lot of them don't have bikes and they don't have the opportunity to practice on bikes. So to be able to give that, experience to every one of our students, regardless of if they have one or not, is just wonderful.
Reporting in Middleburg, Alicia Tarrant-Kahn, CBS47 Action News Jax.
The Clay County School District tells us as part of the program, students at Rideout Elementary School will get to use those bikes for the next 5 years. That's pretty amazing. Parents, if you're looking for a good helmet for your child, so safety.com has a few suggestions on your screen here. I'll read them off to you. The website ranked the Razor V17 Child Multi-Sport Helmet as the best overall. The Bell Rally Child Helmet was rated as the best fitting, and the Mongoose Street Youth Skull Hard Shell, that was the toughest.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacy Garvilla. Still tracking a few showers this evening, pushing in off the Atlantic. Persistent onshore flow continuing this weekend. What it means for your weekend forecast and a look at the tropics coming up in the First Alert forecast.
Ahead at 6, dozens of neglected animals pulled from one Union County home. What volunteers are doing to help the 75 cats, dogs, and horses that were living in filth.
Crash testing electric cars coming up new at 5:30. The models that did the best protecting drivers and passengers. A new round of crash tests looked at cars that don't run on gas.
Action News Jack's Amato shows us which ones fared the best.
The Tesla Model 3 was a smashing success in tests at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety.
It did well in all of our crash tests.
IIHS Chief Research Officer David Zuby says the automaker's lower-cost model earned a Top Safety Pick Plus award.
We have 3 frontal crash tests. Then we do a side impact crash where a barrier smashes into the side of the test vehicle at 31 miles an hour. We do a test of the roof's strength by crushing the roof, and then we do a simulated rear crash to see whether or not the head restraints and the seat back provide protection against whiplash injuries.
The electric Audi e-tron went through the same tests and also won the highest award. So did the hydrogen-powered Hyundai Nexo. In the crashes, the electric batteries and hydrogen tank did not pose a danger. The vehicles also protected against injury.
We are looking at measurements from sensors in the dummy. Those sensors tell us how much forces would be acting on a human being, and that relates to whether or not a person would be injured.
The Chevy Bolt also scored well in most crash tests, but the car fell just short of an award because of the headlights, which gave off too much glare.
Basically, what we're looking for is a nice bright view of the road ahead of the vehicle without putting too much light in a glaring way where an oncoming driver might be.
All the cars got high marks for auto braking technology that can stop a crash. Phil Amato, CBS47, Action News Jax.
All lanes of southbound 75 between Lake City and Gainesville back open days after this major crash. A semi-truck blew a tire and forced another truck across the median into oncoming traffic. A driver from North Lauderdale was killed.
With the repair backlog approaching $1 billion, lawmakers say it's time for the Smithsonian to get some work done. The Smithsonian is known as the world's largest museum and research complex, but it's facing a maintenance crisis. Repairs are needed at more than 600 buildings, including the most popular museum in D.C., the National Air and Space Museum.
I think it's important that we kind of get the house clean before we look at expanding anymore. Are there opportunities when we're fundraising for the projects that people are excited about? Is there a way to layer in some support for backlog?
The Smithsonian Institution generally uses federal dollars to pay for maintenance. The Inspector General says when the work needed exceeds the funds on hand, it has to put those tasks on hold.
A warning about the disappearance of billions of birds in the U.S. and Canada. According to a study in the journal Science, more than a quarter of the bird population disappeared in the last 50 years. Researchers are not sure what makes birds so vulnerable, but points to humans. Things like the destruction of habitats and use of pesticides could have contributed.
It's like tearing down our museums. We're losing our heritage. Birds are important because they tell us a story about our environment, just based off of the birds that you see present in the community.
Conservationists say it's time to push for legislative change.
Now certified Jacksonville's most accurate weather forecast. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacy Garvilla in for Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish this evening. And because we have east-northeast winds again today, our temps have stayed in the 80s, but we've been seeing a couple of those showers tracking onshore now from the Atlantic. A main activity has been across southeast Georgia here over the last several hours. We've actually had a pretty good downpour just crossed through northwestern Charlton County into Ware County. Rain has moved through Brunswick, St. Simons, Jekyll Island, and is now pushing west of these areas now just south of 82. Already a pretty good downpour has crossed through I-95, and Fernandina Beach just saw a pretty good shot of rain, so there are a few showers in the area around Yulee. And then St. Augustine, a couple of sprinkles. There are still a few more showers that are offshore that are going to be pushing inland, so maybe a couple more raindrops before the evening is through. You can see some of those raindrops now on our First Alert Skycam network in St. Augustine. It's 81, but there is also a 21-mile-per-hour wind out of the east, so it has been a breezy day, and not just at the coast. We actually have fairly breezy conditions inland too. Waycross, sustained wind of 15 miles per hour, even in Lake City. a sustained wind there of 14 miles per hour. But sustained winds in St. Augustine, of course, 21 miles per hour with those higher gusts. So we are still seeing breezy conditions even into this evening. And that will be the case this weekend, too. The persistent onshore flow will continue. This will allow for some isolated showers still tonight and at times tomorrow. Now, not everybody will see that rain. I think we'll see mostly sunny to partly sunny skies out there, too. Really a pleasant Saturday shaping up for us. And even Sunday. Sunday looks to be just a little bit drier, but you can't rule out just an isolated shower mainly at the coast. So we have 85 tomorrow, 86 on Sunday. Once again, with these east and northeast winds, that'll keep those temps in check. But I want you to notice this. Look at the overnight lows in the mid-60s there, so comfortable start to the day. We will be breezy Saturday and a little breezy still on Sunday with mainly dry conditions. Now, at the beach, we will once again be dealing with high rip current risks. The surf and seas will still be on the rough side, too. East winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour there on Saturday, and on Sunday at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Only named storm right now in the Atlantic Basin is Hurricane Jerri. Maximum sustained winds at 80 miles per hour, located north of the northern Leeward Islands. Looks to stay north, but on that northwesterly track will be turning to the north later on this weekend and then eventually the northeast. So staying away from areas like the Bahamas, more than 1,000 miles away from Jacksonville. But again, impacting Bermuda as we head into the middle of next week. And there is a few more tropical waves that are coming off the coast of Africa just to keep a close eye on. Nothing going to be threatening our forecast here over the next several days. So in the First Alert 7-day forecast, we've got a pleasant weekend on tap, drying things out into Sunday and really sticking with that drier pattern into next week, too. Lots of sunshine there and a slow warming trend as we get back up closer to 90 by the middle of the week. You can see this forecast online. Head to actionnewsjax.com and download for free the First Alert weather app.
Coming up, more local coverage you can count on. First, a local neighborhood up in arms over a gas station.
You're creating an absolute disaster for this entire neighborhood.
The specific reason they say it will rip their community apart. Then, a local family continues to fight after their child dies of cancer. The creative way they're raising money to fund cancer research in her honor. Local stories that matter to you. Next on Action News Jax.
What to Watch, brought to you by Ashley Home Store.
Our local growth story inspired thousands of people in Jacksonville, and now it's being used to help others. Action News Jack's Brittany Donovan shows us how her family is keeping her legacy alive after her death and how you can support their mission during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
At 9 years old, Kate Amato had already found her passion, singing.
She was just bright and cheerful and fun and spunky. Her spirit was quite infectious.
Kate was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer in July 2014. Her little body endured 2.5 years of treatment, including weekly chemotherapy and months of radiation therapy. But her smile never faded.
Despite all the pain and suffering, she still found ways to be joyful.
When Kate died in November 2016, her parents made it their mission to help fund pediatric cancer research. Experts say only 4% of federal government cancer research funding goes toward pediatric cancer.
Kate's family is inviting local families to the beach on Sunday for a yoga fundraiser. It's just one way they're raising money this month to fund child cancer research.
Since starting the Kate Amato Foundation in 2017, Kate's family has raised $250,000. They've partnered with a dozen local businesses this month to raise funds and awareness.
Doing something to help future children, to improve survival outcomes, to reduce toxicity, to spare families the pain and suffering of watching their children suffer.
It's also their hope that others will be inspired by Kate's story and strength. Reporting at Jacksonville Beach, Brittany Donovan, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
Quite a legacy. The Tom Coughlin J Fund is a local organization that's helped thousands of families through their cancer battles. The group focuses on children and young adults up to 22 years old. They help alleviate some of the expenses a family may take on during their difficult time. To learn more, click on the Family Focus tab on actionnewsjax.com.
Next week, the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens will celebrate their gorillas, including the first birthday of 1-year-old Gandhi. Action News Jax told you last year when the gorilla was raised by zookeepers and eventually taken care of by a surrogate family. Look at that one, family. From Monday through Saturday, the zoo will also collect old cell phones for a recycling event. You can get $5 off general admission with each old phone. 3 gorillas are making their new home in the Jacksonville Zoo as part of a program to protect the species. Action News Jax told you yesterday the 3 gorillas came from the Denver Zoo. They're going to be set up with a 23-year-old female gorilla in Jacksonville in hopes they will breed. 2 bachelor gorillas from Jacksonville were sent to Denver for the same reason.
The Jacksonville Humane Society is hosting its 21st annual Toast to the Animals, a fundraiser this Saturday. The event is scheduled for 6:30 and will be held at TIAA Bank Field. All proceeds go towards the Humane Society Medical Fund, used to provide life-saving care to animals in need. To get tickets and learn more about the event, go to actionnewsjax.com. Walmart wants to invite you to their Wellness Day for free health services. Local Walmart stores and pharmacies will be hosting the event tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the event, you'll find heart health information and free health screenings. They'll also be offering low-cost shots for free.
Live, this is CBS 47, Fox 30 Action News Jax at 6. Local coverage you can count on.
In just minutes, the Oakleaf High School family will honor a young man gone too soon. I'm John Bachman.
I'm Letitia Barriola in for Tanika Hughes. As Action News Jax has been telling you, 16-year-old Keandre Moss died in a car crash just down the street from the school on Monday. Action News Jax Russell Colburn joins us live. And Russell, people attending tonight's football game are asked to wear purple for Keandre.
Yeah, his mother tells me that was his favorite color. He loved that. Working on cars and tennis shoes. She said his closet looked like a shoe store. Well, here tonight, the 3-1 Oakleaf Knights will take on 2-1 Ed White. But let's be honest, football feels secondary to what we're going to witness here tonight. The school says it will have a moment of silence recognizing Moss's mother, Katina, before kickoff. Tuesday, she told me she's just trying to take things day by day. The school says there will also be a group here accepting donations for Moss's family. As Action News Jax told you last night, Taj Ritchie had to have his leg amputated from his injuries in that crash, and Brian Ransom had bleeding on the brain and broken bones. JSO says the teens may have been racing with two other cars Monday when they lost control and crashed, but they haven't said if they expect any charges or if they've identified the other drivers. And we just met Moss's art teacher. He's working on a parking space dedicated to the 16-year-old. The students and ROTC director came up with the idea. They'll leave it open for him all year, and it dons his initials in the words Knights Strong.
A sad reason to have to do a shrine like that, but you know, at least we know how much the kids here at Oakleaf really care about each other. It's really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And that program tonight starts at 6:45. It certainly will be an emotional scene here. We'll have continuing coverage for you tonight at 10 and 11. Live in Oakleaf, Russell Colburn, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Within the last 2 hours, Action News Jax learned there is not enough evidence to charge the driver involved in this deadly crash, which killed the Clay County deputy Ben Zerbel. It was last August when Zerbel was hit riding his motorcycle, and according to a new police report, the driver had THC in his system but did not show any signs of impairment at the time of the crash. The driver was cited for failure to yield just last month. Deputy Zerbel was on duty when he was hit. Just into the Action News Jax newsroom, 75 animals were just pulled from a home in the Rayford area of Union County. This is new video of deputies and animal shelter workers going in to remove the dozens of dogs, cats, and horses from the property off State Road 121. They were reportedly kept in foul conditions and neglected. Deputies did not release any details about the owner, but say animal cruelty charges are pending based on evidence collected.
Neighbors in St. Johns County want to keep their surroundings green and not to transform them into a 24-hour gas station. Action News Jax investigator Megan Moriarty is live near Fruit Cove Estates, where the construction would be. Megan, the land is zoned to stay residential.
Yeah, and yesterday neighbors had plans to bring their concerns in front of a board, but the meeting was postponed because only 4 out of the 7 members were going to be able to attend. But just for perspective, I want you to get a look at what this neighborhood looks like. Now, it sits on State Road 13, but besides the road, it is covered from top to bottom in greenery, and most neighbors don't want to see that get taken down.
Here's Daly's plan. What you see here, gone.
This is the entrance to Fruit Cove's estate, but a proposal could change it to this. A 12-pump Daly's gas station with 24 fuel stations, 7,000 square foot convenience store, and a car wash. The plan is to also take out this island right here and the oak trees to make for a wider road so tanker trucks can get into the gas station.
When I bought this house, before I bought it, I checked to see what the zoning was to make sure this kind of thing wouldn't happen.
The way the property is zoned right now, gas pumps are not allowed. First Coast Energy is asking St. Johns County Planning and Zoning Agency Board to change it so the project can get underway. Several Fruit Cove Estate neighbors have a problem with that.
24 pumps, 24 hours a day, and you've got about a half a dozen people right along there that are trying to go to sleep at night.
Harry Fairfield says he also worries that the value of his home will go down, traffic will go up, and overall it won't be as nice of a place to live. Some believe this proposed gas station could bring in more jobs. Either way, it's in the hands of the St. John's Planning and Zoning Advisory. Now, I reached out to all 7 members on that board to ask how they plan to vote at the next meeting on October 3rd. None of them have emailed me back. The final say will get underway, and it will be done by the Board of County Commissioners at the November 7th meeting. Reporting in Fruit Cove, Megan Moriarty, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
The Daly's gas station they want to put in is 7,000 square feet. Meanwhile, neighbors in the World Golf Village area are battling a 50,000 square foot business. Action News Jax has told you for 2 years that Buc-ee's plans to move into the area. There will be 104 pumps and 392 parking spaces. We found out today Buc-ee's usually employs 200 people at each location. Cashiers make $12 to $14 an hour. Management positions pay from $44,000 to $109,000 a year.
A jury has been seated in a trial surrounding 2 former Jacksonville City Council members. Katrina Brown and Reggie Brown will be in court Monday morning to face 38 federal fraud charges. Our live coverage with Action News Jax Christy Turner starts at noon.
Right now, a woman who police believed was carjacked by her boyfriend is safe. JSO says they made contact with Marsha Higgins and Brad Chilton today in Volusia County. We told you at noon a new police report shows Marcia texted someone begging for help. Investigators are working to figure out if a crime ever occurred.
There's a major push right now to redevelop our beautiful downtown with new projects right along the riverfront here. But we flew Action News Jack's Sky Vision drone today, and we didn't find much but brackish brown murky water there. Last week we told you how the latest river report shows major pollution issues in the water. Action News Jack's Elizabeth Pace finds what it will take to fix it moving forward.
Right now, there are two major issues with the St. Johns River, pollution and metals. The local riverkeeper told me that before we think about any redevelopment proposals with the St. Johns River, we need to address these issues first.
It's nice to look at, see dolphins and everything. It's a little dirty though.
That's the general idea I heard from people about the St. Johns River. They want to enjoy it, but worried about how safe it is.
I hope they're able to incorporate the river with whatever the projects want to be that's potentially coming.
The 12th annual river report shows major red flags with the St. Johns River. The local riverkeeper told me that they're concerned about the phosphorus pollution, heavy metals, and saltwater intrusion.
So not only are we seeing more pollution in the St. Johns River, we're seeing more damage to its own filtration process.
Thursday, I told you about the redevelopment of the old courthouse and city hall annex properties along East Bay Street. In the proposal guidelines, the DIA says the new development needs to have interaction with the St. Johns River. Lisa Reideman says the water can be an economic driver, but we have to protect it.
The city of Jacksonville has a fertilizer ordinance, but it's not enforced regularly, and so that's a step. And they also can lead by example. We need to make sure in our parks and on public land that we're doing everything we can.
I reached out to the city to learn what they can do to fix the St. Johns River. A spokesperson sent me this statement, which reads in part, "We have several programs to help identify and eliminate unauthorized discharges to our stormwater system and locate sources of both bacteria and nutrients that can be removed to help improve water quality." Reporting downtown, Elizabeth Pace, CBS47 Fox 30, Action News Jax.
The good news is, according to the latest EPA inspections, our beaches are in perfect health. There's a tool online where you can select your beach individually to get a pollution report and information about any past pollution issues. It's run by the EPA. We have a link on Action News Jax on the Action button.
Tonight, Action News Jax investigating legal guidelines that could protect you when local police start using drones. We asked our legal team hypothetical today questions. If JSO is using the drone for a missing person and sees you maybe growing marijuana, can they use that evidence against you? They say no. A Florida statute says in part a law enforcement agency may not use a drone to gather evidence or other information. But there are exceptions. The statute says police can obtain a search warrant that allows the use of a drone. JSO tells Action News Jax they plan to use the drones for missing persons cases, fires, and to keep first responders safe.
CBS47 and Fox 30 are your official Jaguars stations, and fans are breathing easier today. Last night, the Jags scored all of their touchdowns in the first quarter, but it didn't matter. They were able to hold Tennessee to just 7 points to get their first win of the season. Rookie quarterback sensation Gardner Minshew fired two in the first 15 minutes, 2 touchdown passes to go up 14-0. But from then on, it was all defense. The Jags racked up 9 sacks against the Titans. Calais Campbell had 3 of those. Jalen Ramsey suited up and played for the Jags last night. Played well after we told you he started asking for a trade earlier this week. Today, Jags owner Shad Khan said he would pay Jalen more money if that's what it took to keep him in the River City. No word yet from Jalen or his agent. We want to know what you think. Should the Jags trade Jalen Ramsey as he has requested, or should they keep him? Right now, 56% of you say no, they should not. 44% of you, though, say yes, you should. You can still vote by going to actionnewsjax.com/vote.
Action News Jax just confirmed today the demolition of the landing should be done by next spring. Tonight, a team is working to salvage some of those items inside. Eco Relics has taken everything from restaurants, lights and doors to artwork to be sold to the public. They expect to salvage 160 items. Whatever doesn't go to Eco Relics will land in a landfill. Right now, at least 51 people have died in the Bahamas because of Hurricane Dorian. People who live there fear the actual number could be more than 1,000. Now, 3 weeks after the storm, people are without power, desperate for help. Plenty of people from Northeast Florida have been bringing supplies there to the island, but we flew with a crew today who's bringing something back. Action News Jack's Danny Bazzini was there as dogs were rescued from the island. Danny, about a dozen dogs joined you on the flight.
Yep, that's right. We just landed about 10 minutes ago here at the St. Augustine Airport, and boy, what a day it has been. We got here at this airport earlier this morning. We flew down with Mermaid Life, a local company, and these are the remainders. These are 3 of our last dogs that are going to be they're going to be taken with some loved ones and find their forever homes. These 2 have actually already, these cute little ones right here, have a forever home. And guess who it is? It's our pilot right over there, Scott. Yep. Real quick, tell me, you just fell in love?
Well, my wife told me, she says, oh my goodness, you're going to get dogs, and I was wondering about that story. And she says, well, if any of them don't have homes, I mean, we can take 1 or 2. And then, so I was like, and these 2 were the first ones I saw, helped carry them in the cage, and then walk them through customs and all that. And they almost got off in Palm Beach, and then they came back, and then I just FaceTimed her. She says, oh my God, yes, of course, both of those. So pretty excited.
Well, congrats to our pilot, Scott. He was great today, all day long. Everyone that helped out was, and this last one is going to find a forever home too. All day long we are working with the Bahamas Humane Society, getting 12 on board. That is making sure that they have room for the dogs that from the islands hit hardest by Dorian. And so by doing this, 1, they're finding forever homes, and 2, they'll be able to take in more dogs, like I said, from the islands hit hardest. Live in St. Augustine, Danny Bazzini, CBS47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Oh, that's so great, and I think Scott's going to be very happy.
Oh, yeah, and so is his wife.
Our family focus partners at ViStar Credit Union opened a special account just for money for hurricane victims in the Bahamas. You can donate at any ViStar branch.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacy Garvilla. Still breezy with showers, but when we turn drier and warmer, and the latest on the tropics, that's coming up in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
Ahead at 6, Action News Jack Spinbecker zeroes in on a pizza joint in this week's restaurant report. The big problems health inspectors found at a local Little Caesars.
What to watch, brought to you by Ashley Home Store.
Your health and safety, it's the reason we go out every week to get you answers about the places you love to eat.
In this week's original restaurant report, Action News' Jack's Ben Becker tells us about violations that inspectors found at a popular San Jose pizza place.
The word pizza was first recorded in the 10th century, about 1,000 years after Julius Caesar ruled Rome, and a long time before inspectors say a local Little Caesars had big problems. I paid a visit to the Little Caesars Pizza on University Boulevard near Old St. Augustine Road. The door was locked and there was a sign posted saying the restaurant was closed by the state to protect the public's health and safety. But soon after I got there, someone came to the door. Hi, Ben Becker with Action News Jax, the original restaurant report. I'm here I want to talk to you about your inspection. Inspectors found 30 live roaches, 10 dead roaches, and a hand wash sink not accessible for employee use. It was temporarily closed. I tried again to speak to the man from before. Sir, you had dozens of roaches. But he would not come back outside to address the violations. Elsewhere, Crafty Crab on 103rd Street near Harlow Boulevard was cited for 20 live roaches, 44 dead roaches, and live small flying insects in the kitchen. It was temporarily closed. Inspectors say Kazu Sushi Burrito on South Ponce de Leon Boulevard near South Dixie Highway had potentially hazardous food temperatures. An employee touching ready-to-eat food with their bare hands, and a person in charge was unable to answer basic food code questions. Our final stop, the Crystal on Blanding Boulevard and 103rd Street, was cited for potentially hazardous food temperatures. An employee touched their face and hair, then engaged in food prep, and there was a mold-like substance in a soda dispenser. All the restaurants mentioned have passed follow-up inspections. In the studio, Ben Becker, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Timaquan Parks is looking for people to help with an International Coastal Cleanup Day. This is video from last year. This week's event is tomorrow, the 21st. Volunteers will meet from 7 to 9 at the National Park Service Visitor Center on Fort Caroline Road. They also have another cleanup from 9 to 11 at Hanna Park. Meanwhile, organizers of a Facebook group dedicated to 2 missing firemen are asking everyone participating in that coastal cleanup day to keep an eye out for certain items. They say Justin Walker and Brian McClooney had things like Costa sunglasses, a GoPro, and gray and white gloves with them when they left Port Canaveral. That was on August 16th. Since then, the only trace of the men has been this tackle box, which was found on day 2. It's their bag of the search.
Right now, the search is on for this missing man out of Jacksonville. Alfred Jackson was last seen in the Harvey's parking lot on West Moncrief Road last night. Several people are working with JSO to try to find Alfred safe. If you've seen him, please call police. Today, 3 days before the UN Climate Summit in New York, people all over the country protested to address climate change. Jacksonville neighbors gathered in Hemming Park at 10 this morning. They say they're taking to the streets to demand a right to a future.
It is a day to make politicians and others aware of the impacts that we as humans are having on Mother Earth.
The Climate Summit will be held in New York City Monday. Take a look at their protest today. We will work to get that for you online. Folks in the crowd were children who skipped school to participate. There's a youth climate action meeting tomorrow in New York.
Now, certified Jacksonville's most accurate weather forecast. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacey Garvilla in for Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish this evening. And we'll start out with a live look in Jekyll Island on our First Alert Skycam network. Plenty of clouds here. We have seen a couple of showers already come through the area. It's cooled down to 77 degrees and still with northeast winds at about 10 miles per hour. So we've been tracking some of these showers moving in off the Atlantic once again today with our persistent onshore flow. So we've had some locally heavy downpours through portions of Camden and Glynn County. Now a shower headed towards Nahunta, so into the Prosperity area there at about 6:28. We've also had a few showers across Camden County, Nassau County. Heavy downpours already come through Fernandina Beach, and there's some showers just north of Yulee. Pretty quiet across downtown right now, just a very isolated shower crossing over the St. Johns River there. So just really hit or miss in nature and very brief as these are moving off fairly quickly at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. And there are a few more showers about to cross into portions of St. Johns County. There's already been a few sprinkles, a few light showers in St. St. Augustine already. We will keep this pattern going into tomorrow, so still dealing with onshore flow, some isolated showers, mainly coastal showers, as we head throughout your Saturday. A lot of areas are staying dry, but breezy nonetheless. It will be another breezy day like today, and windiest, of course, at the coast, where we're expecting winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour with those higher gusts. Into Sunday, a little drier. Can't rule out an isolated shower, but the winds will relax just a little bit. They'll still be out of the east and northeast, which will keep that rip current risk high into the weekend, especially tomorrow. The surf at 5 to 7 plus feet, so those breakers anywhere from 6 to 8 feet. There will be a small craft advisory still through tomorrow evening. Seas at 6 to 8 feet there, and east winds at 15 to 20 knots. So it's still going to be a dangerous weekend at the beaches, something to keep in mind there. As far as the tropics, Hurricane Jerri, as of 5 o'clock, maximum sustained winds at 80 miles per hour, staying north of the northern Leeward Islands and going to continue on that northwesterly track until later in the weekend, turning more north and then eventually northeast, approaching the Bermuda area, headed into the middle of next week, so staying well away from Jacksonville. But there is other activity ongoing too. There's a tropical wave to keep an eye on south of Haiti right now. Of course, Jerri, we just talked about, another tropical wave located a couple hundred miles east still of the Leeward Islands. And then we've also got a tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa, which looks to become our next named storm into early next week. So no local impacts here. The weekend pretty pleasant. That weekend always in view in the First Alert 7-day forecast, and really drying out into next week too with a slight warm up. We'll be back near 90 by midweek. You can always see the latest at actionnewsjax.com and download for free the First Alert weather app.
The mother who drove her minivan into the ocean with her children inside is out of custody and allowed to return to her family. This is the now infamous video of rescuers trying to get to Ebony Wilkerson and her children as the water began to swallow that van. Happened back in 2014 in Daytona Beach. Remember that? She's been in jail and getting mental help ever since. The family's from Myrtle Beach.
Florida neighbors have a little more than a year left to get their real driver's licenses or ID cards. So in Florida, that means you'll have a little gold star right there in the upper right hand here in the right hand corner. All states have to have them by 2020. Right now, about 90% of people have them in Florida since the Sunshine State started to switch over back in 2008. The real IDs are designed to meet increased security standards for travelers. New jobs could come to Jacksonville with a new liquid natural gas plant. Tonight, all new on Fox 30 at 10. One company's plans to export gas around the world.
Then at 11, after 3 years of testing, the state of Florida has finally cleared their rape kit backlog. But will the findings lead to arrests locally? That answer coming up on Action News Jax at 11. In less than 3 minutes, Minshew Mania, the Jacksonville business that's naming their product after the rookie QB.
Jags quarterback Gardner Minshew has a beer named after him. Hyperion Brewery, that's in Springfield, renamed their Golden Teal Brew to Minshew's Mafia, an honor to the rookie season so far.
Ah, yes, it's spreading, everybody. CBS Evening News is up next on CBS 47. We're back here on Fox 30 at 6:30.
He was 16 years old when he lost his life in a crash.
He wanted to be an engineer, work on cars.
As his family mourns, a high school stadium will fill with purple during its homecoming game to honor Keandre Moss.
It's really an eye-opening experience for our students.
Action News Jax at 6:30 starts right now.
Meanwhile, the two other teens that were in the car during the crash on Monday remain in the hospital. I'm Letitia Barriola in for Tanika Hughes.
I'm John Bachman. Action News Jax Russell Colburn explains that purple is Moss's favorite color.
And tonight, people will be wearing purple to honor him. And we have the 3-1 Oakleaf Knights taking on the 2-1 Ed White team. But let's be honest, football feels secondary to what we're going to witness here tonight. The school says it will have a moment of silence recognizing Moss's mother, Katina, before kickoff Tuesday. She told me she's just trying to take things day by day. The school says there will also be a group here accepting donations for Moss's family. As Action News Jax told you last night, Taj Ritchie had to have his leg amputated from his injuries in that crash, and Brian Ransom had bleeding on the brain and broken bones. JSO says the teens may have been racing with two other cars Monday when they lost control and crashed, but they haven't said if they expect any charges or if they've identified the other drivers. And we just met Moss's art teacher. He's working on a parking space dedicated to the 16-year-old. The students and ROTC director came up with the idea. They'll leave it open for him, and it dons his initials in the words Knights Strong.
A sad reason to have to do a shrine like that, but you know, at least we know how much the kids here at Oakleaf really care about each other. It's really cool.
And today's program begins at 6:45 here. It's certainly going to be an emotional scene. We'll have coverage for you tonight at 10 and 11. In Oakleaf, Russell Colburn, Fox 30 Action News Jax.
According to DoSomething.org, 16-year-olds have a higher crash rate than drivers of any other age. Researchers say 16 and 17-year-olds driver death rates increase with each additional passenger. They say more than 40% of teen car deaths happened between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m.
After a 3-day search across multiple counties, the woman who police say was carjacked and kidnapped has now been found safe. Action News Jax Lorena Inclan explains that JSO is unclear if a crime happened.
JSO announced it on Twitter today with a short message saying that the two were found safe, and they thanked the public for the abundance of tips that they got, but they wouldn't give us much more information other than that. Action News Jax first reported at noon how a text message from Higgins to someone in Tennessee started all of this. According to the police report, the text starts off saying, "Call the police. Tell them Brad has carjacked me with me in the car and is threatening to kill me." The couple was last seen in Jax Beach, and then yesterday, JSO tells us they were spotted in Volusia County on Wednesday night. We did ask JSO if anyone has been arrested or if they believe if this was a case of a false report, but the public information officer for JSO, Melissa Buheda, would not answer my questions directly. Instead, she tells me that this is an active and ongoing investigation and that JSO believes it's unclear right now if a crime has occurred. Reporting in downtown, Lorena Inclan, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Just into the Action News Jax newsroom, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells Action News Jax the last 10 minutes here that this missing man, he's been found safe. Police had been looking for Alfred Jackson since last night after he was last seen in the parking lot of Harvey's food store in the Moncrief area.
All right, a live look right now at the Jacksonville Landing, where the city is preparing to tear it down. This iconic shopping center has been in our city for a long time. A team is working to salvage some of the items inside the building. Action News Jax' Brittany Donovan shows us what families can take home from the iconic landmark.
Right now, it's quiet here at the landing. This gate blocking anyone from getting inside, and you can see it's empty. But one business has been able to get inside. They're salvaging items from the landing, giving families an opportunity to take home a piece of history. You might recognize this bar top and the detailed beach scene painted on it. It was pulled from Hooters inside the landing. Annie Murphy and her team at Eco Relics are working to salvage items from inside the iconic landmark before it's torn down.
We're all about keeping stuff out of landfills. That's our mission.
So far, they've taken in lights from several of the restaurants. This door has been sold, along with some artwork from Chicago Pizza. These glass windows have been a customer favorite. They're still for sale at the shop on Stockton Street.
It is really cool to see people recognizing certain things, longtime Jacksonville residents.
Murphy says they've only been able to get inside the buildings along the river. They can't access the rest of the building until the last tenant moves out in October. She tells me they expect to salvage 160 items. So if you're in the market for lighting or a bar top,
people have been looking at it, and we're not going to cut it, so they have to be able to use the whole thing. You have to have a big man cave to put it in.
The pieces of Jacksonville history will be for sale as they're salvaged. Murphy tells me they'll be going inside these businesses and salvaging items for the next couple months, and they may be done by the end of the year. Reporting in downtown Jacksonville, Brittany Donovan, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Right now, parts of Texas experiencing some of the worst flooding since Hurricane Harvey. Tropical storm Imelda has killed 2 people so far. Take a look at Beaumont, Texas, where cars are driving through several inches, if not feet, of water. And the Coast Guard had to rescue 2 people. This is also near Beaumont, Texas. They pulled 2 people to safety there. Now, Imelda not going to affect our area, but a good reminder that you can always download the Action News Jax First Alert weather app in the App Store. It's free.
Tonight, a man says his car is totaled after he was slammed by this truck. You see it? We highlighted it here so you can see it just a little bit better. In an exclusive interview, he told Action News Jax Elizabeth Pace that the crash happened while students were walking to the bus stop in East Arlington.
We're standing in front of the car right now, and just look at the impact from the crash. Now up close, if you move, you can see this entire back window just completely shattered. Different parts are mangled, the lights busted out, and now the owner of this car is hoping someone might recognize this truck driver to hold them responsible. It was 6 o'clock Thursday morning. Neighbors in the Waterleaf community woke up to this noise. A commercial truck slammed into a red car parked on the street and drove off. We've highlighted and slowed down this video so you can see it better. Watch the left side of the screen.
He just kept on going too. He didn't even check if anyone was in the car or if any debris.
Mark Minois is out of town, so we talked to him over Skype. He told me he spent years fixing this car and just finished it.
Feeling pretty sad. That was a project between me and my friends and I guess my dad, and see it crushed like that it's pretty sucks.
He says it's totaled. The bumper was ripped off the car and the back of it completely smashed. Minois' girlfriend says she was shocked to see this happen in their East Arlington neighborhood.
It's so sad that it finally came into fruition and then someone destroyed it and ran away.
We're working to find who owns this truck. Neighbors are now sharing this video, hoping someone might recognize it or know why this driver was in the Waterleaf neighborhood so early in the morning. Minois says he's just glad no one was hurt.
It was like he gunned it out of the neighborhood, full speed. Scary.
He also told us that he did file a report with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and we're working to get that right now. If you happen to see a commercial truck here in town with this kind of impact in the front, be sure to call Crime Stoppers. Reporting in East Arlington, Elizabeth Pace, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
A revolving piece of St. Augustine history has a new home. The carousel that was previously at Davenport Park is now in Southwest Florida. Action News Jax told you the owner's last request for his wife before he died was to move the carousel to Port Charlotte, Florida. Now the question is where the carousel will actually be placed in that city.
From there, he didn't really have a solid plans. We still, of course, don't. This all just happened.
Action News Jax showed you people enjoying their last ride on the carousel last weekend in St. Augustine. It was there for 25 years.
Timaquan Parks is looking for people to help with an International Coastal Cleanup Day. It's this Saturday, so tomorrow, the 21st. They'll meet at the Fort Caroline National Memorial, Hanna Park, and the Ready Point Reserve at 9 a.m. You know, it's been more than a month since firefighters Brian McClooney and Justin Walker were lost at sea. Loved ones are still looking, though, for any signs to help figure out what happened to them. A local search group is asking anyone doing beach cleanup this weekend to be on the lookout for items of theirs that could wash ashore. A list of those items can be found on actionnewsjax.com.
The Department of Health in Nassau County is lifting a rabies alert. Action News Jax told you in July when an otter tested positive for the disease in the northwest part of the county. There has not been another positive test for rabies in 60 days, allowing the advisory to be lifted, but the health department warns there is a risk year-round.
Right now, police need you to be on the lookout for these men on your screen here. JSO says they're linked to a robbery on Emerson Street and a credit card fraud investigation. It could be, you see that red car in this car here. If you recognize them, call the Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is warning businesses to take a closer look at their money because of a counterfeit bill was recently used. So you can see here behind me the picture on the right. It looks real, but when it's turned over, well, you'll notice the pink symbols. There you go. You can see it closer. The pink symbols there. The building on the back, not Independence Hall. If you get a fake bill like this, call the Sheriff's Office.
More than 8,000 unprocessed sexual assault kits have been cleared. Before the 2016 law, Florida didn't require the kits to be tested. It took the state 3 years to catch up on processing all of those rape kits. The Attorney General says being caught up on the backlog will help solve crimes and give victims peace of mind.
Moving forward, that victims know that these will be tested in a prompt manner.
Law enforcement agencies are now required to submit evidence within 30 days of their investigation. The kits must be processed by the lab within 120 days of getting them.
Walmart says it's no longer going to sell electronic cigarettes. This comes after a number of deaths related to vaping. The company says it decided to act due to uncertainty surrounding how the government plans to regulate the products. Walmart will continue selling the devices it currently has in inventory. A man in his mid-40s has become the latest person to die from a vaping-related illness. The man from Missouri is the 8th person to die from a lung disease linked to e-cigarettes. The Department of Health says the victim developed respiratory problems, was in the hospital last month. Right now, researchers are working to determine the cause of more than 500 cases of lung illnesses affecting or involving e-cigarette users.
Ahead of the 2020 election, a nationally known political strategist from Jacksonville says she will no longer work on the Trump campaign due to health reasons. Action News Jax sat down with Susie Wiles in 2017 after President Trump was elected. She also led Governor Rick Scott's campaign in 2010. Wiles released a statement saying, in part, "Due to a nagging health issue, it's time for me to focus on taking care of myself."
There's a push to get a National Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Memorial Museum in Jacksonville. Representatives Al Lawson and John Rutherford introduced legislation for the museum today. The bill would make the Cecil Field Museum a national memorial for all former prisoners of war and those still missing in action. According to the Department of Defense, 82,000 service members are still unaccounted for.
You can get free health screenings this weekend. Walmart will have a wellness day tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can have your blood pressure, glucose levels, and vision all checked. They will also offer low-cost flu shots and immunizations.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacy Garvilla. Still breezy, still tracking a few showers working in off the Atlantic, but we're turning drier and warmer and tracking the tropics. That's coming up in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
Kindergartners at Rideout Elementary School received 22 of these bikes today. Coming up, you'll hear why one student said he couldn't wait to learn how to ride.
Something that started as a joke turned into an actual event for Earthlings.
I just want to explore and, see aliens.
The coordinator of Alien Stock says people are looking forward to besides raiding Area 51. Some kindergartners in Middleburg, they're getting a head start on learning how to ride a bike.
Action News Jack's Alicia Tarancon was there when a school received new bikes and helmets thanks to a grant to help keep the kids healthy and active during the school year.
Dozens of kindergartners at Rideout Elementary School received a big surprise hidden behind this dark gray van on Friday morning. Brand new Strider bikes and helmets that will help all these kids learn how to ride a bike by the end of the school year.
So we wanted to make sure we could embed that into our curriculum to work with them with coach, so they're building their confidence, but they're also learning how to do this so they can transfer these skills home with them.
The school now has 22 of these Strider bikes. You'll notice they don't have training wheels on them. That's so the students learn how to balance once they get on these bikes.
It's a skill that 5-year-old Jackson can't wait to learn.
So I can have a lot more fun than just playing with Legos and drawing all day. That's the only stuff I have.
This Clay County school was the only one in the district to receive a $4,000 grant from Tucker Power Sports as part of the All Kids Bike program. As part of the program, teachers will be able to get certified over an 8-week course to teach these kids how to ride these bikes. And they'll start with the basics.
You have to practice bouncing.
Teachers tell me these bikes will help their students stay active and healthy, and for some kids, it was their first time getting on a bike.
A lot of them don't have bikes and they don't have the opportunity to practice on bikes. So to be able to give that, experience to every one of our students, regardless of if they have one or not, is just wonderful.
Reporting in Middleburg, Alicia Tarancon, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Okay, so Facebook. There's a Facebook event that started as a joke. Well, it's finally here. Several people flocked to Nevada's Area 51. They were hoping to see some aliens. Okay, so this is a heat map showing the number of people tweeting about the event. And according to USA Today, only about 100 people, though, actually showed up to the event. Police say one person was arrested, and that was for public urination. The event includes a music festival, food trucks, alien-themed movies. A Facebook user made an event to raid the military site to find aliens about a few months ago. Coordinators for the event, called Alien Stock, says they will not storm the military base.
It's more about a gathering of like-minded people having fun.
It's probably a good idea. Just kind of back off. It can't be good to try to raid that. But it looks like they're having some fun, John.
Yes, they sure do, if you want to call it that. Covering Glynn County now, where Jekyll Island is gearing up for the Shrimp and Grits Festival. This is video of that festival from last year. The main attraction is Saturday. There will be a showdown between chefs from 8 different restaurants. There's also a craft beer fest, a 5K road race, and Kids Zone. Leaders expect more than 45,000 people starting today. Covering St. Johns County, where deputies will collect donations for hurricane victims next week. You can donate cleaning supplies, canned foods, and personal hygiene items. You can start dropping items off at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. Again, that starts Monday.
Now, certified Jacksonville's most accurate weather forecast. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Stacy Garvilla in for Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish this evening, and we've managed to stay in the 80s once again today thanks to those east-northeast winds, which continue bringing in a few showers off the Atlantic. And we've seen a few showers already come through areas like Brunswick, St. Simons, even Jekyll Island. And now there's a few showers in parts of Nassau County, northern Duval County. Pretty dry downtown right now, but a couple of sprinkles have made their way through that area along with St. Augustine, and now there's a couple of diminishing showers through southern St. Johns County. So these will be on a weakening trend as they continue to move inland throughout this evening. Still a couple of showers overnight tonight, but we pick up with the same pattern again tomorrow, that persistent onshore flow. So it will be breezy, especially at the coast, 15 to 20, 25 mile per hour winds with higher gusts and a couple of showers here and there. Into Sunday, the winds will relax just a little bit. That means we'll actually start to see our surf decrease some, and we'll only see a couple of showers, so drier conditions on Sunday. But here's a look at the temps, mid-80s both Saturday and Sunday, and starting out in those mid-60s, so very comfortable there early in the morning. Again, isolated showers on Saturday, still pretty breezy, not as windy on Sunday, and mainly dry. And we'll also start to see that rip current risk decrease a little bit into Sunday too. So Saturday, the big day. Be very careful at the beaches. Again, a couple of showers there. We have temps expected in the 80s, and those east winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour on Saturday become about 10 to 15 there as we head into Sunday. Now, in your boating forecast, small craft advisory continues through tomorrow evening. We'll have 6 to 8 feet seas out there. We are approaching our next low tide at 7:30. And the tracking still the tropics. Hurricane Jerri, that's our only named storm right now in the Atlantic. It is remaining north of the northern Leeward Islands. Still a Category 1 hurricane that will be tracking to the north and west later this weekend, turning more north and then tracking north and east towards Bermuda for the middle of next week. There will likely be some weakening before some re-strengthening of that storm. So Bermuda will definitely want to watch, but staying well east of the Bahamas and well east of Jacksonville. Tracking the tropics elsewhere, there is a tropical wave, which is located just south of Haiti. That doesn't have a very good chance of developing in anything tropical, but either way, it will be bringing lots of rain to Hispaniola and even parts of Cuba and Jamaica. Another tropical wave located several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands. As it approaches the Windward Islands, it could become a tropical depression early next week, and a wave coming off the coast of Africa does have very likely development. That could also be our next named storm early next week. So keeping an eye on those two there. In the First Alert 7-day forecast, your weekend always in view. Pretty pleasant. A few isolated showers, mid-80s there, and warming up and drying out into next week. You can always track the latest at actionnewsjax.com or download for free the First Alert weather app.
What to watch, brought to you by Ashley Home Store.
It's the best local sports show in Jacksonville. This is Action Sports Jacks, powered by Safe Touch Security.
Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye sharing a moment after the game last night, or after the Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans. Might it have been the final game for Jalen Ramsey in a Jaguars uniform? It certainly looked like a little bit of a goodbye between the two cornerbacks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Camden County. Our Action Sports Shacks Game of the Week on the Friday Night Blitz and on ESPN 690 is here in Southeast Georgia. Camden County hosting Brunswick. More on that in just a moment. But let's talk more about the Jaguars win, the first one of 2019. It was pretty dominant, even though it was only 20-7. Jaguars scored a couple touchdowns early. Gardner Minshew magic continues, and then the defense was dominant with 9 sacks. Jacksonville returns. The Jaguars now get the weekend off. They'll play Denver next week in Denver. How about some news out of the NFL? Antonio Brown has bounced from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Oakland Raiders to the New England Patriots, and now, well, he's out of a job. The New England Patriots releasing Antonio Brown amidst some legal concerns and also just some Antonio Brown concerns. The Patriots part ways with the star wide receiver. Oh, here at Camden County, they're expecting a big crowd. This is a bit of a crosstown rivalry for them, too. We'll talk more about it coming up all night long on our Game of the Week. But right now, let's bring in Action Sports Jack Stuart Weber with more on what's to come on the Friday Night Blitz.
Yeah, Brent, plenty of great games all across the area, including right here at Atlantic Coast, where the Stingrays are playing host to Terry Parker, a team that beat Bishop Kenny pretty handily a week ago. So maybe Coach Sharon Dorsey has turned the corner with Terry Parker. Meanwhile, plenty of great games down in St. Johns County as well. St. Augustine hosting Bartram Trail. How about Menendez hosting Ponte Vedra? And Creekside will host Bowles. 3 really good games down in St. Johns County that we are keeping an eye on tonight. Of course, we'll have all that, plus the highlights from here and all over the area coming up a little bit later on tonight. For now, at Atlantic Coast High School, Stuart Weber, Action Sports Shacks.
Action all over their area. We'll have it for you tonight. And then 7:15 pregame show, Camden County, Brunswick on ESPN 690 and our social media platforms. That will do it from Southeast Georgia, guys. Back to you. Beautiful night.
Gorgeous night, Brett. Yeah, it feels like football weather, almost Florida style.
Yes, I would agree with that. A pretty pleasant weekend for us ahead, too.
All right, Stacey, thank you. And we have new jobs that could be coming to Jacksonville with a new liquid natural gas plant. Tonight, all new on Fox 30 at 10. One company's plans to export gas around the world.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 10.
Fox 30 Action News Jacks is a Cox Media Group station.